This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, so basically we're down to Deborah, me, and William, who are the regulars here. So Aileen and Susmitha, you're going to have to make sure that you.
No, Harold, I'm here.
Oh, you are? Okay.
Harold, I'm here also. Dan Semp.
Oh, okay, great. So we're okay then. So we have a quorum. All right, let me get started because we do have a lot to cover tonight. None of it should be very difficult, but it could take a long time. I'm going to read the script up until we open for the public hearing. Good evening, this is Harold Watson, Chair. Oh, can you start recording, Susmitha?
She already did.
I
It's already recording.
Okay. Good evening, this is Harold Watson, Chair of the Planning Commission. Due to the coronavirus 19 pandemic, we are conducting this public hearing followed by our regular meeting on gotomeetings.com on Tuesday, May the 18th, 2021 at 6:36 p.m. The quorum for this meeting is 3, which we seem to have. I will now call on the following elected members to speak up as present. Christina
Kazanis, Commissioner for Zone 1, present.
William
Michael Boyd, Commissioner for Zone 2, present.
Myself, Harold Watson, Commissioner of Zone 3. Dan
Semp, Zone 5.
Okay, and we don't have yet, we don't know if John's going to make it or not. So Aileen, you'll keep an eye if you see him come in and mark him as present. We also have our alternative, Deborah.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, and we have 2 of our new alternatives. So for the first time in 4 years, I guess, we now have all of our alternatives in place, which I'm really happy to say that I'm glad the town council filled those in. Paul, you want to say hi? And Aurelia? And also Carrie Whittam, who is right now on voice only. I will get you guys a copy of our planning book that we shared amongst the committee members so that you can get some sense of planning, what we try to do regularly. We also want to welcome our usual guests, Aileen Marsh, our recording secretary, and Smith Atata, our town planner. Hey, John made it. So we're cool.
Hey.
Task.
So since we can see Christina, we are gold. All right, great. So let me now go to the public hearing. Oh, yes. Blah, 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 blah. Please identify yourself by name and title each time you would like to speak as we are being recorded. This is per Governor Lamont's executive order, which allows us to conduct virtual meetings. The public is free to listen, but may speak only at the invitation of chair during both administrative and petition sections. With that said, I call to order the public hearing session of Stafford Planning Commission at 6:38 p.m. to hear the following petition. And I'm going to read that, Susmitha, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Basically, folks, it is the 740 Honey Spot Road and Stagg Street petition of Daytona Partners Connecticut LLC to subdivide 2 lots to modify one of the conditions of approval relating to a building permit. So Smith, we do not have anybody representing the petitioner today because it's one short item that we need to take one vote on. So I'm going to ask Susmitha to fill us in on what it is we need to do to help these people complete all of their tasks. Susmitha?
Sure. Thank you, Chairman Watson. So as you know, I have transmitted our approval letter from February 17, 2021 as part of the Planning Commission package that I sent to you last week. Originally, this matter was heard as part of a February 16th Planning Commission public hearing. At that time, the commission voted to approve this matter with conditions. One of the conditions was that the petitioner has to apply for a building permit before the subdivision plat is filed with the Office of Land Records, that is the town clerk's office. But after having spoken to the building official and knowing fully that they're not going to build anything on those lots yet, and remediation is proposed on the honey spot side of the property, it has been deemed by the building official that there is no need to, have them file for a building permit at this time. And because it's a subdivision matter and based on state statutes, any modifications have to go back to a public hearing process. We cannot just remove the condition automatically. That's why this is being brought before the commission again.
Everybody understand that? So I need a motion to take this off the table. Is there anyone here who can do that?
William Boyd, motion to take this off to hear later.
And that's all I need to do, correct, Susmitha?
Yes.
Okay, so what I'm looking for is a vote, is someone to do a simple statement that we can then vote upon. Or do we need to do any discussion? We're not discussing here. Yes.
You may want to ask if anybody from the public would like to speak.
Yes, okay, let me do that first.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have any public here who's interested in this matter? We do not, there's no evidence of us having any public. I'm going to restate this again. Is there anybody here who would vote in favor of this? Hearing nothing, is there anybody who would vote against this? Hearing nothing, is there anybody who is here who is neither yes or no? Hearing nothing, yes, Susmitha.
Well, you said, is there anybody who would like to vote against it? They're just here to speak against it.
To speak against it, I'm sorry, correction.
Yeah.
So hearing nothing, I'm going to close, correct?
No.
Yes, well, if John wants to
I'm sorry,
deliberate.
wait, no, John, I'm not closing it to us. I'm closing it to the public so that we can have a discussion.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any comments by any of our commissioners? And John had his hand up first, so let's hear from John, and then Susmitha. Go ahead.
We had a motion, I believe, from William Boyd without a second. Was that true? Okay.
Well, there was a motion to take the matter off the table, and that's when we didn't need to have that. Actually, we opened the public hearing item. So now the public hearing item has to be closed. And then as part of administrative items, this matter can be deliberated by the commission and voted upon.
Okay, so that at this point, we're going to just close the public hearing.
Yes.
Will someone please make a motion to close the public hearing?
I make a motion to close the public hearing.
We need to second and do all of that and vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
No.
Okay, let's say that it passes. So now we're still in our public hearing petition phase, but now we're going to discussion, correct, Susmitha?
Yes, we are going to move to the administrative agenda, the work agenda, and you can take the item off the table and then discuss for a vote. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we now are officially opening our administrative session. And we are actually going to do this out of order because we're going to put this up front. And I don't believe I need to do a vote on that, correct, Susmitha?
Well, you have to take it off the table. And then you may want to ask somebody to, pass a motion to take it off the table.
Okay. I'm going to say two things. Take it off the table and address it immediately. Will someone please make that motion?
It's Christina
William?
Kazanis, Zone 1. I'd like to make a motion to take this item off the table.
All in favor?
We need a second. Somebody
I,
need a
William
second.
Boyd,
second.
second that motion.
Okay. A second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. That's 3. Anybody else?
William Boyd, aye.
Okay. So we're all in favor. We're now going to. I'm sorry, I don't have this script. I could not find it.
No,
Today.
that's okay.
So I'm doing my best. We are now closed. We have now closed the public hearing, correct, Susmitha?
Well, you
So
have to take a vote on the matter. You took it off the table.
We voted to take it off the table.
Now you will ask if any of the commission members would
Okay.
like to speak for or against the matter before you take a vote.
Okay, so now we're going to go to you, John, with your hand raised for your comments.
Me?
You, finally.
Well, my only comment, Chair, is that we are not, you said a statement up front. We are not helping the petitioners to move forward. We are correcting a condition that was presented to them in a previous vote. Thank you.
I agree with you, but it was well, it doesn't matter whose fault it was. It does help them to move forward in the end.
Debbie.
Anybody else? Debbie, did you have your hand up?
No.
William?
No.
Christina?
No.
Dan? I think we've lost Dan. Okay. So I'll just make a comment. I would like to get this done with. Diane Lord was going to be here tonight, but she couldn't because she had a surgical procedure today. So we gave her the right not to have to be here. But simply, it doesn't change anything. All it really does is allows them not to spend basically $750 to get a permit, which they don't need. They're going to need when they come up with new plans, essentially. They don't need it for an empty lot, which is what they will have. And John, this will allow them, the reason they're tearing down the building is to fully remediate that site. So it actually comes closer to what we had wanted originally. So I'm looking for someone to give me a
motion, a
give me a
vote
motion that will move this forward.
Well, Harold,
Yes, ma'am.
you have to state for the record what condition you're removing from the, approval letter and, why you're removing it. So the reason for removing
Well, I'm
it.
going to ask you to read that because that letter I do not have.
Oh, I gave everything in the package. But I can read it out aloud for you.
I have the February 17th letter.
Yeah, and in that condition 6.
Okay, so everybody, can I just make this motion?
You'll have to read it out aloud for the record.
Yeah, no,
If you want, I can do it for you.
Can you do that for us? And then
Yes.
someone will just support her.
So the motion is to modify the approval letter dated February 17, 2021, to remove the condition number 6 on building permit, which states building permit is required for existing buildings prior to the filing of the final plat. That's it.
Can someone give me a motion to sustain that? Yes, John. You seem to be. Is your audio working?
I believe a commissioner has to make that motion.
And I'm saying, can someone do that? William, John, Christina?
Okay, so Christina Kazanis, Zone 1, I'd like to make a motion to remove that condition from the previously
February
agreed upon,
17th.
from
Because
what?
there
February
is,
17th.
Christina, you might want to say because there is no building activity
Because
proposed.
there's no bill, I'm sorry, because there's what?
There is no building activity proposed on the lots.
Yeah, there's no building activity proposed on the lot. Therefore, I make a motion that we remove that requirement from the conditions that were imposed on the February 17th meeting.
John? John,
And
you are muted.
John has a question. John, are you seconding or are you asking a question?
John, your audio is gone
Your
out.
audio is off. There
I
you go.
second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. That's 4 votes. Okay. That it passes then with 4 to 0. So we are now closing the this issue.
Harold,
Yes, ma'am.
I
Oh,
have
I
a
need
question.
to have you send them a letter stating that this is the action we took.
Yeah, I think Dan did not vote on it. You have 4 yes, but 1 abstained, I would say, because he didn't say yes or no.
Well,
Because I think his audio's off.
no, I think his audio and video both cut out because
Okay.
when I'm looking at the screen, neither one of them are they're both grayed out, which means he's in Florida, so which means his connection fell apart.
Okay.
So I guess technically he's not present. That's why I said 0.
Okay.
Unless one of the alternates would like to vote.
Well, we did not seat them
Yeah,
when
we
we
can't
started
do
the
that.
public hearing.
That's
Can't
true.
do that.
Okay. So that's it. I wish. Okay. We are now going to proceed to our administrative agenda. If you'll look at the agenda for tonight, I need someone to give me a motion for the last month's minutes of April 20th. William?
William Boyd make a motion to approve the minutes for April 20th.
Anybody second?
I second Christina Kazanis.
Okay, are we ready to vote then? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
Aye.
It's 3 to, John, did you vote? So it's 4 to 0. Okay. The next thing on our agenda is the lease of town property, 824 review. And I believe we have someone there for that who wanted to introduce himself or speak. Correct? Or we did have.
Yes, 2 of us are here. My name is Pascal St. Laurent. I'm a project manager for Crown Castle, the applicant.
Okay.
And Stephen Kennedy, our RF engineer, is here to answer any questions that you all may have with respect to that.
So Samantha, do you need to give any intro? I think the documents we got were pretty clear, but.
Yeah, I can state for the record what they're proposing to do.
Could you please?
Yes, please.
This is a referral from Stratford Town Council to the Planning Commission for the potential leasing of town-owned land on Chapel Street at Flood Middle High School to Crown Castle Towers 06-2 LLC for a wireless communication facility. So basically, I visited this site, and it's located on the baseball field side of the Flood Middle High School on Chapel Street. If you look at the pictures that are enclosed in the staff report, there is, right next to the property is the land owned by Connecticut Light and Power, and they have 2 cell phone towers there right now. Based on what I heard from the petitioners, from the town attorney, one of those towers has been giving them problems, and they cannot fix it unless they shut down the whole system. So they would like to take it off and put the new tower on the proposed site at Chapel Street on near 490 Chapel Street. So basically, all we as the commission look for is its consistency with the plan of conservation and development. Like I mentioned in the staff report, the proposed use will not be any a disruption to the future land use on that site. And there's a tree line that exists there that they propose to not demolish or get rid of. They want to keep it the way it is. You know, it is consistent with the future land use, that is residential open space category highlighted in the POCD. The plan of conservation and development also recommends that the town should consider making town-owned land available for telecommunication sites as a means of additional revenue and wider service. So it's consistent with that recommendation. The only staff advice that I provided is that because it's going to be on a school site, maybe it should be cordoned off for security's sake and for additional privacy to the school students. That's all is my, you know, staff report on.
Any comments from our commissioners? Yes, John.
Existing one that's looking for a backup.
Yes, it is. You're working.
One that's looking for a backup. Is that also owned by the same company or operated by the same company? Crown Castle Tower?
Those towers are operated by two separate companies.
Okay, so the company that's on the UI towers, who's looking for a backup so they could do some work, and you're offering to help them as a backup. What happens when they go back online?
Their equipment would be removed from their current location, and that would be relocated to the new tower. So there would not be two separate installations after construction is complete. There would just be one.
Okay, so town council or the towers, Castle Towers, will be the only cell phone there on town property.
I'm sorry, could you ask the question again?
Somebody's mic
Guys,
is
can you
hot.
mute yourself if you're not talking, please? Because there's a lot of background feed.
So in reality, am I still okay? Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, so in reality, it's not about a backup or a breakdown so they can repair. They're actually leaving and you're coming in and you're going to be on town property. Is that correct?
Yes.
Thank you.
I have a question for either of you, but anybody else? William, would you like to speak? Christina?
Yes, William Boyd, Zone 2. The question I had is, if I understood, backing up what Mr. Staley, Commissioner Staley said, there are two installations there now. This third one will replace one of the two temporarily,
Yes.
and then eventually, when all is said and done, will there be 3 units there or 2?
There will be 2. Right now, there's 2 separate installations on transmission poles that are owned by Eversource. And we're proposing to remove our equipment that's on Eversource transmission poles and creating our own monopole. And that will house the equipment. And there will be no more equipment on the Eversource pole. So there'll just be 2 separate.
Okay. So you're untethering from Eversource and having your own tower so you can control it. And this tower is for cell phone service?
Yes, for wireless service.
Is this Verizon, or will it be leased to other cell phone providers as well?
The monopole will have the capacity to accommodate co-locators, This particular move at this time is for AT&T.
Oh, for AT&T, this is for 5G?
There are plans to have some 5G equipment. We don't have the equipment finalized yet in terms of particular models. That happens much later on in the process. But if you have any particular questions about 5G, Stephen can certainly help you out there.
Okay, so if I understand this is for the infrastructure to increase whatever upgrades you want to do later. You're coming from Eversource, you have your own tower. Are there any cost savings associated with coming out of Eversource? And does the town, Susmitha, does the town get any rental or any fees for this, or?
So if we entered into a lease with the town, yes, we would be paying the town rent every month for a lease of the property. We're at the very early stages and the very early planning stages. Obviously, we don't have a lease yet, so the numbers aren't hammered out. Right now, what we're trying to do is make sure that the network remains uninterrupted and we can upgrade equipment and keep the network going.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a question of you. What is the closest tower near there that you own?
That Crown Castle owns?
Yeah.
That is a good question. I believe the closest one we have is a mile and change away. I can get you a map. If you have an email address that I can send it to and send you a map, but I believe the closest is a mile away.
Okay. And my other question to you is the roadway that's going through, are you using the existing roadway that is on the UI property right of way, or are you actually going to be putting in a new roadway on the flood property?
Right now, if approved, we'd like to use Chapel Street as access and then have a gravel road to actually physically get to the site off of Chapel Street.
So currently, Chapel Street is where the current road runs off of, correct?
Yes. Yes.
So you're going to put on in the tree area, you're going to be putting a graveled drive through that treed area.
Right. Essentially hugging the property line next to the trees as far back as you can get before you approach the trees.
Well, I'm hesitant to express too much doubt because it seems like you've already been approved by town council, correct?
They've moved us forward to this process. Yeah.
Okay. And is there any absolute legal belief that we're going to end up with two towers there and not two towers filled and one tower empty?
Well, when this concern has been expressed by other jurisdictions, what we've done is made our approval conditional for the building permit, conditional on the equipment coming down from the first tower onto the second.
I understand the equipment, but you still have a pole there.
That's Eversource. That's actually transmission equipment. It's not purely
okay.
for
So
wireless
it
telecommunications.
would be there. Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. And there's no way that you can put your gravel road on Eversource property through to where connecting through. Because if you look at the plat for it, there is like 25 feet or 50 feet from where the existing roadway is. If you just simply cut across there, you would be able to do it without tearing down any of those trees along flood. And we would end up with a much better situation, I think. Otherwise, we're going to lose a quarter of the trees right down that area. I know that changes your negotiations because you still have to go back to UI, but it would seem to me that the best deal for Stratford would be if you put your gravel path down already detreed property versus where we have actually a green border along flood, we would be better off.
Okay, I can certainly run this by our engineering team. Now, just so I make sure I understand you correctly, are you proposing the access road to run through 690 Chapel, kind of behind the trees.
I'm not, honestly, I, I only looked at, yes, okay.
Oh, that's
If,
good.
if,
There we go.
if I look at this now, see, you can see the existing, it looks like a dirt road there. So if you're
Yes.
putting your property where the red box is, all you need to do is go across, what is that, 100 feet? Versus my assumption is from what you described is that you're going to put a gravel trail in the tree line area. Is that correct?
Yes.
Which means you will have to remove trees for at least 15 feet width if for your big trucks to get in and out.
Well, we were proposing to hug the tree line, not to remove any trees, to have the access route along the tree line, but not through
Where
the
the green
trees.
line is, correct? So you would,
No, where the yellow line is, and that's not exact. I intended for the yellow line to be along the tree line.
and to the left of that is just grasslands, brushland?
To the left of the yellow line is just the trees and some, like a field, some
Yeah.
grass and
Okay.
fields.
All right. Then I don't.
Harold, I have a question when you're done. I'm sorry, I can't turn my
Um,
camera on. So.
Okay, I thank you for the clarity on that. We are losing so many trees and so many green
Yeah.
spaces that we need to pay some attention to this.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And we'll certainly, during the, final hammering out of the drawings, collaborate with the town and make sure that we have a plan that works for everyone.
And have you had any response from neighbors in this area?
We have not yet done neighbor outreach. We wanted to speak with the town first and see if we'd be able to, if they would be amenable to a build at this location, and then we'd do outreach.
Okay. Christina.
I think I just want to sort of maybe echo what Harold was saying, in that if there is a road there already on town-owned property, I don't really understand the reason for a second road other than an attempt maybe to have an agreement with Eversource on that, to use that road. Like, it just makes sense to me to use the same road. And if you don't have to make two roads, don't.
Absolutely.
I also had my hand up prior.
Oh, okay.
Are you done, Christina? John?
Yes, sure, I'm done.
John?
So we tend to, whenever possible, like to keep the road access and the compound all in the same legal parcel, in case there's ever any issues in the future, that any emergencies, that we know that we'll have access to be able to maintain the equipment or service the equipment. We can certainly work with the town and figure out an access route that works best for everyone. But the Eversource road, as far as I'm aware, is owned by the state. So we'd have to have separate agreements there. And we don't know if they're amenable to even having easements for a user that is not on the property. So
I believe that they're over on River Road. There are towers going in or completed in the UI property.
Excuse me. I've had my hand up for quite a while. Keep talking, and there's dialogue going on.
Go ahead, John.
Okay, I don't understand. We just had a seminar on lack of information moving forward. We're talking about what ifs, or can you do this? Will you do this? And who owns it and who owns that? We don't have this information in front of us. How can we have an intelligent conversation? Thank you.
William?
Oh, sure.
No, I'm sorry. I didn't have my hand up. Sorry, I'm fine. I didn't have my hand up.
Oh,
Sorry.
okay. Is there anybody else?
Well, I'll say something. To John's point, yes, we have maps and pictures, but there's a lot of detail that we don't have. So we're almost, if we're not really on our game and ask specific questions, we can rule in error of something because we don't have all the finer points that it seemed like we have, but when we start asking questions, we find out we don't. So to everyone's point,
I'd like to remind everyone that we're not in the zoning process yet. And so all of the information and all of the details will come out during that process. We still have to go through zoning approvals. We still have to get a building permit. This is the very early stages to see if we even have an agreement. So we don't have detailed information because we don't even have an agreement with the town. So we generally don't get all that information together and have an application until we actually have an agreement in writing with our landlord.
I hear you, but I guess my last point, sorry, to all is when we hear that something's approved by town council, I'm under the idea that it's past all of those sorts of things. Once they mention town council, I'm not really thinking that that process has not been handled yet. So I hear you. I understand.
Susmita.
So I want to remind the commissioners that your authority as a planning commission is looking purely at the land use standpoint, not the ownership standpoint. And if you know, your authority is to see if this is consistent with the POCD's goals and objectives and the future land use identified in the POCD, and if there is any land use impacts that this might cause. Regarding the ownership and leasing and the financial aspects, I think there's no authority for the planning commission on this. It's the town council's job. And even today, if it gets denied by the planning commission, the town council would still be able to reverse the decision with a supermajority vote. So I request the commission to consider that you have all information relating to land use and the proposed land use here, and you have your plan of conservation and development as a guide, and to base your decision solely on the land use aspect of this proposal.
Chairman, I have a question related to the land use aspect of this proposal.
Go ahead.
So, Ms. Saint Laurent, how typically, since we don't have a lease and we don't have terms, how long typically are the lease agreements for? And what kind of public access restrictions are there so that the commission can have an idea of how long its open space will not be accessible to the public?
Sure. Well, in the preliminary plan that we're proposing, we did put the compound as far back towards the tree line and the property line as possible. From our understanding, part of the property is not really used by the school. The ball field to the right, further east, is the one that's actively used. So we found the part of the parcel that serviced our needs, both from a radio frequency perspective, but also a planning perspective with respect to, the least intrusive aspect of the part of the property. So if there's another location that you feel would be more appropriate.
No, my question is how long, I'm sorry, my question was how long do these lease agreements tend to be?
Sure, they vary, but they tend to be for 25, 50 years or more. I mean, the towers represent a significant investment in the community, and everyone relies on the network, and our goal is ultimately to have the network be consistent or better as much as possible. So the longer the lease, the more reliable the network.
Would it be accurate to say then that as this moves along and when when this all happens, would it prevent any future use of that property? Specifically, you mentioned the part of the property that's not really used by the school, that ball field. Would that prevent them in any way from using that, or are they locked out of it for a quarter of a century?
They would not be able to access the compound where the equipment is. That's generally locked.
Okay.
But the area around it is their property to use as they see fit.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
So Smitha, all we really are doing is moving this back to town council with whatever comments we need to make on it. We're not essentially approving it or disapproving it. So, am I correct?
Well, you're going to make a recommendation to the town council based on a vote today. And you can approve with conditions or deny. And based on, whatever you decide today, the town council will choose to, vote accordingly, whether approve it through a majority vote or a super majority vote.
So, I'm going to speak to our committee. If you have something that you would like to say to town council specifically, can you come up with a succinct? If we were to pass it or not pass it, we could do either with a simple statement of what we feel is missing or needs to be added to this. Yes, John.
Chair John Silly, Zone 5. I'm not looking at ownership, and I'm not weighing who owns what and what. It's just there's a lot of detail in the background that the council and others have. I thought that the our approval or disapproval also is about the impact. I'm pro technology and getting everything better, but the schoolyard, the baseball field, so they said no trees. What guarantee did you have? I don't have enough information for myself. Thank you.
Absolutely. If I may address you, sir, as I stated before, we'll be back before you to address the more detailed parts of this application. This is not the formal site plan review with all of the details you're probably used to seeing. This is simply with respect to whether or not to enter into the lease. So by no means are you approving this tower. By no means does an endorsement today mean we can run out tomorrow and start building it. It only means that we can move forward with the town to enter into a lease agreement and then come before you with a fully fleshed out site plan with all of the information that you're looking for today. And then you give your approval to that site plan. So I just want to make sure there's that distinction.
Thank you very much. That was helpful.
So will someone, based on that information, I honestly feel like we need to ask them to go away and come back with a different roadway to their new site as beginnings of to essentially preserve part of the land. I would be willing to vote yes on this with that condition, with the expectation that it will come back with a full site plan review. Is there anybody who would like to make any kind of a motion?
Harold, I think Smitha is trying to speak. Yeah.
I see.
Can everybody mute their microphones? We can't hear properly.
William,
Okay.
that's you.
So I wanted to let you know that this is an 8-24 review based on state statutes. So the town council gets to make the final decision on this, and whether you approve it, if you don't vote on this tonight, it gets automatically approved. If you vote in approval with a favorable recommendation, the town council picks it up. You can suggest to the town council to review through appropriate body on additional facts that you would require, like through a site plan review. But I'm not sure if you can recommend them to bring it back to the planning commission. It's the town council that gets to discuss it and decide the appropriate body. Because in our town hall, both the planning commission and the zoning commission perform site plan reviews depending on the nature of activity. So maybe, a recommendation suggesting additional review and oversight of the facilities once they decide to install is a better wording for your approval, I think.
I'm going to make a suggestion based on everything I'm hearing, because it seems like, John, this is your zone. So it's something that's really critical to you. What if I were to say we move a favorable for this, but we would like to see them come back after an approval for a site plan review, and we would like them to consider relocating the roadway so that it does not disrupt any trees. Yes, John. You're still
John, you're muted.
It almost seems like everything we've just discussed for a half hour is worthless because the town council, Samantha said, is going to vote the way they want anyway.
That's the rules of town council.
Welcome to being on the planning commission.
So
that's why what we can do is give them our best advice. They don't ever have to take it, but I always try to say, if we want them to, excuse me?
I would like to see a second review. I know the lease isn't our privy, but I would like to see another review before the council votes on it. And if we can't do that, fine.
Susmitha.
I think you'll be in a much better position if you addressed what your concerns are and why you wanted a second review. And rather than say, I would like to have a second review, maybe if your concerns are with the access road or with the tree line, specifying that you recommend approval, but with concerns on the following, or with conditions that the access road be, not placed at a certain location, or the tree line be not disturbed. That's a valid recommendation, and that holds a lot of weight. Because I am not sure, even if you said they should come back to for a second review, if legally they're required to come back for a second review. That's something I have to talk with the town attorney on that.
Samantha? Question. So when it comes through the planning commission to sell town property, it's not the same as leasing it. Am I correct? Okay, thank you.
We still have our task to do. Let me try to, is everybody, without any conditions, would we be willing to send this to town council with an approval?
Only with recommendations, like
okay. So we've now decided we're ready to send it to them with approval, but we need to have some kind of conditions on that approval. So what right now, based on what I'm hearing, is we want to have a conditional site plan review coming back to us. And we also are concerned that the reason we want that second site plan review is that we're concerned that the access road will impinge on the tree line. Does that make sense? Is there anything else we need? John, that gets it back. That's the best effort we can do to get it to come back to planning for us to be able to comment further on.
Okay, that doesn't necessarily mean I have to vote in favor.
No, you don't have to. So I'm going to move that forward. Will someone make a motion, please?
Wait, I want to say something.
Yes, Deborah.
Didn't Susmitha say that it won't come back to us? We only forward it to the town council with our recommendations.
Yes, if they want to, they can send it back to us. They could say, oh, our planning committee had real interest in this. Let's have it come back to them and see if they now are fully endorsing this. They don't have to do it, but we're setting it up so that if they look at it and we seem reasonable, then town council can say, send it back to planning, let them see it now, and maybe they'll be 100%. We give them, on the opposite side, the ability to say, yes, we voted for this, but planning agreed with us. So it's the way government is supposed to work. Yes, Mrs. Smitha.
Well, if you're able to specify your concerns in your condition letter, that will be much clearer to them why you would want them to come back.
Yes,
Pascal. Yes. I just wanted to emphasize once again that the distinction between this town leasing review and the zoning process, even if we get an approval to enter into the lease, we still have to submit a full zoning application, which it sounds based on the discussion and the specifics that all of you are expecting to see, that's what you're expecting at this time. You will get all of those details during the zoning process. If we do not fulfill everything that's required, we won't get approval to build. So this is,
I'm sorry. I don't think anybody's disputing that, but we need, as the planning commission, to set the stage and set the tone for, like, on a higher level, like on a more meta level. So we understand that detail and those details of our concerns get ironed out in zoning, but we need to set that stage for the expectation from this commission. So that's really what this conversation is about.
Gotcha, absolutely. I just wanted to, make sure that everyone was aware that they'll get that information absolutely as part of the approval process.
Yes, Smitha.
I'll say one last time as a staff to the Planning Commission, I would say that if you are able to state in your recommendation, the commission chooses to approve this but with conditions, or chooses to approve it but has concerns on the access road location and the tree line proposed on the site, perhaps an additional oversight of this would be, could be beneficial at a later stage, and leave it there, then maybe the council can, direct the appropriate body. I think in this case, it may be the zoning commission that'll look at the development review aspect of this, and, that letter will be forwarded to them, or the council might, take your valid recommendation and approve the same with the conditions that you specified.
Our only other option is to vote it down, and then they will do whatever they want anyhow. We lose our voice at that point. So at least if we say yes in this situation, but these are the things we want you to look at least we're performing our duty as planners. William, will you do the brave thing and give us a...
William Boyd, Zone 1, I agree with the plan with our one or two conditions to move forward, to send it back to town council with our planning commission recommendations as were stated earlier.
You're going to have to state what they are.
So the recommendations were to minimal tree loss and an access road either adjoining or separate from the existing dirt road there. I believe those are the two concerns, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Okay, I agree with that.
Is that clear to everybody? It's a little better than nothing, John, right? I hope. Then I think, are we ready to vote on that?
Yes.
All in favor?
Harold, excuse me.
Yes, ma'am.
We need a second.
This is Aileen Marsh. You need a second.
Christina Kazan.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Zone 1, I second.
I'm sorry. Okay.
Eileen was speaking, but she froze there. I didn't know what she said.
We just needed a second. I seconded it.
Okay.
Yeah.
She popped up to save us. Okay, so we got a second. All in, we have a, John?
Well, we have a motion on the table, seconded.
Right.
Is still discussion?
Any other final discussion? John?
Well, I'm just, we don't have enough information prior to our meeting and discussion tonight. And that's it. Thank you.
Okay, that's on the record. I appreciate it. So I guess we are ready to vote on this.
Are we going around the table or just doing it all at once?
We're going to go around the table because
Okay.
I'm William.
Oh,
Yay or nay? You're
William Boyd, Zone 2, yay.
John.
Oh,
Yay or nay?
John Staley, Zone 5, nay.
Harold, yay.
Christina
Christina?
Kazanis, Zone 1, yay.
And Dan never made
Aye.
it back, so we
3-1-1
have 3-1
and 1 abstention.
and 1 abstention. Okay, I think we did that then, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Thank you guys, Pascal and Stephen,
Thanks, Pascal.
for being so patient with us.
Thank you.
We hope to hear from you again.
Yes. Good night.
Good night.
Good night. Okay, now where are we on our list? Next thing we
Harold,
have,
you're going to go to,
the next thing I have is Stafford Housing Partnership, correct, Aileen?
Yes.
Correct?
yes, that is correct.
Okay. An update from the town council public hearing, next steps. I believe, Susmitha, that has to be you because I didn't get any information on this, so.
Oh, it was in the transmittal cover sheet that was sent as part of the package, and I described what happened and what should happen next. Essentially, this was approved unanimously on May 10th, 2021. So we fulfilled the state statute requirement of preparing affordable housing plan for 8-3J. I communicated this decision with the State Department of Housing and they found it satisfactory. So we're all set there with the state statute. Now, the next step is to amend this as part of the plan of conservation and development. And any amendments to the town plan of conservation and development should happen through a public hearing process. I'm going to talk to the Secretary of State sometime later this week and put this matter on a public hearing on the public hearing agenda next month. So we can, you as a planning commission can open this public hearing matter, seek any public input on this, and then close it and make an appropriate decision on whether to amend the POCD to include this as part of the housing element or not.
I have a question on that, Susmitha. We could be live next month.
Not really.
It's not going to happen. Okay, that was my question.
Yeah, because I just
So we're
heard
still
that
doing
the
a
governor's
virtual public hearing.
Yeah,
Okay.
the executive orders seem to be extending until July 20th.
Okay.
So we'll receive a confirmation tomorrow, but looks like we'll be still online next month.
Could we wait until July to do this public hearing on this? That then we could have a live public hearing? Because everything we've done on this so far has been virtual. I would love at some point to hear from people live.
If you want, I can stop. You can either open the public hearing next month and continue it to the following month.
Okay, all right.
Or you can just place it on the agenda in July, whatever you choose to do.
We can do the first. We can start it in June, and then if we get any kind of a response, we can say we're going to continue this with a public hearing in person.
Okay.
That makes sense.
I'm sorry, Harold, could I ask
Yes,
a quick question, just a point of clarification?
Please,
What's
go
the
ahead.
difference? What's the difference between the public hearing that was just held on the report versus a public hearing about the recommendations from the report? being incorporated into the POCD? Like what substantially is the difference in the comments that we expect to hear?
I don't think there is a huge difference. So Smitha might disagree with me, but essentially for us to go into the POCD, which is our legal plan of action, that's what we're doing the public hearing about. Do you want us to include this in? Am I correct, Susmitha? Does that make sense?
Yeah, so, you know, I had a dental surgery, so I can't say S properly. I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Well, I was going to tell you that, you know, what the town council did was help the town meet the state statute requirement. What the planning commission is going to do is a very important step, because without this being part of the plan of conservation and development, any zoning regulation rewrite cannot happen. You know, zoning only happens after there's a legal foundation in the town plan of conservation and development. That's why the planning commission has to hold a public hearing based on state statutes for amendments to POCDs.
It really is a critical vote that we should understand it before the general public in terms of what we're doing here.
Question?
And honestly, I thought that this was going to take another year for it to happen. So there's a part of me that's, I'm really proud of Stratford for moving ahead so quickly on this. And there was a time when people.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
So if in fact, what is your recommendation, Susmitha? Should we start the public hearing in June and then possibly delay our July 20th meeting Tuesday to that Wednesday, the 21st, hoping that we will be able to be actually in the chambers? What is your suggestion?
Well, I can't assure you that even if you went back to the chamber, somebody will show up. And this was, public had an opportunity to comment on it at several stages. We had our housing partnership meetings that were open to the public. We had a pre-meeting before the council meeting that was open to the public and advertised appropriately. This was legally advertised in the newspaper before the town council voted on this. And, you know, the public had enough opportunity. There were 3 people who came and testified at the town council meeting. So I'm not sure. I mean, you might want to see how it goes next month, because a part of me also says that it's not finishing up the plan that is more important at this point. It's actually being able to implement it and moving forward to the next step. If you want to continue it, you as a commission should decide and discuss on it, but the more you delay it, the more you are delaying the implementation of it.
Well, my only point to that is I think, and I'm speaking personally, is that people are Zoomed, GoToMeeting, Skyped out. And the feeling of doing that meeting online, people are just, I think, tuning out. And if there was a chance that they could be seen and it's in person, I think the response will be different, because I just think everybody's just over the top with just these online meetings. It's just, I think it's difficult, and the technology challenge for people, I just don't think they see it as the same. So I'm kind of betting on that more than anything.
I don't disagree with you, William, but I do believe what Susmitha said is what's really important is that we get this thing done. We are one of the first cities in the state to have our plan written. Am I correct, Susmitha?
Yes.
Really, we are actually helping to set the stage for every other town that's going to follow us. So we have a good chance to actually come out ahead of all the other towns, and based on the work we've done so far. And it also, this actually gives information to developers that we will have it out there ahead of everybody else. Yes, Smith.
Well, William, to your point, if you want, you can call in a special meeting later than July 20th, hoping that the executive orders will not be continued, and have a public hearing at that point if you want. But I also want to tell you that the plan is very generic. The
Yeah.
language in the plan says words like consider doing this or encourage doing this. So I think it's largely less harmful anyway to be amended as a part of POCD, and then let it lay the path for actually doing the groundwork on how to consider doing something or how to, encourage doing something.
So what you're saying is it's not as finite as I might think it is. It's
Yes.
more
Go back and look at the. Go
statutory
back.
to get it going, but there's nothing etched in stone. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, that's correct.
There are
It says
specific
consider
zoning changes that are
zoning
needed.
regulation amendments or consider accessory dwelling units as an option. So
Right.
it lays out the options, but it doesn't ask you to do anything yet.
Got you. Thank you.
So are we okay then? Currently, we're not changing anything. We're still leaving open the possibility of having a public hearing if there's interest after our next meeting with this, correct? I think, anybody? Where did John go? He's there in sound and audio only. Okay, the next item is, Linda, you are an angel. Our next one is the Greenway Committee composition and appointments.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. So I guess you all have already known that I have resigned from the Greenway Committee as of May 10th. I regret deeply that I have to do that, but with the pandemic and my family matters, I really kind of needed to step down. I know I'm leaving the Greenway in great hands, Harold, as chairman of the Planning Commission. And as a former member of both planning and zoning, I commend you people because this is a hard time. And I think it's hard when we're all in the same room doing all this, but it's even harder now with this virtual kind of situation. But as I said, unfortunately, I have to step down. So I think the Planning Commission can kind of move forward. I've been with Greenway since 2004 and have seen a lot of stuff. Hopefully, more progression after this pandemic and things get straightened out. But I do appreciate all that the town has given me opportunities, and I hope that the town moves forward. And I wish everyone the best. But as I said, I do commend you on this situation because right now I'm sitting here, my neck's going like, yeah. And but I appreciate everything that the town has given me, and hopefully I've given them something. So I thank you.
I just want to add, Linda, you are a font of wisdom when it comes to the Greenway. And I hope that you will consider at least coming back as a member, because your knowledge is up there with Mr. Vesey in terms of the history. And I think that's part of what needs to be recaptured.
Yeah.
So moving forward, I would not think that you're free and clear. I would expect a phone call saying, why don't you come and sit in it? And honestly, I looked at I have a whole list of names. I'm going to present this to the committee for our next meeting. But I have a whole list of names, and it's not 50% women. So we still need women. We need women on our committee. So I hope that you will consider staying on.
Well, as of right now, I can't commit to that. So maybe sometime in the future.
I understand. I'm going to keep your number in my phone so that I can call and convince you to come back. It's a hard job, harder than I ever realized, sitting through some of this with you, and I appreciate it. The town does not know how much has been done for the Greenway, even if it hasn't been realized how much has been planned in a true planning sense. and we cannot afford to lose that information. So thank you from the bottom of my heart.
You're welcome.
Yes, Susmita.
I just want to take this opportunity to thank Linda for all her service, years of service to the town, for serving on the Greenway Committee. And she sent me her resignation letter almost a week ago, and I said, no, you're not leaving like this. You need a proper farewell from all of us, because she deserves it. I mean, coming here as a volunteer, dedicating your time and service to such an important project for the town. And seeing it go through to 2 phases is not a joke. And you're a wealth of knowledge there. And we really thank you for everything you've done. And we hope, like Harold said, we hope we can at least get some time from you as an alternate, maybe, or as an advisor to the committee in the near future, once your family obligations settle down. Thank you very much, Linda.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, John.
Yes, I would also like to thank you very much for the time served. Joe Vecchi and I are very good friends over 15 years. And I can remember asking him, well, what are they going to do with all the stumps over there next to the river plant? And it's an amazing performance moving forward, the endurance that we all worked on together. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
So, to the committee as a whole, I am, in Linda's absence, I'm stepping in to help get the committee moving forward. Linda prepared a list of meetings for the rest of the year. Linda provided me with the current members. I also had found some new people who are active bicyclers in Stratford. So with the combination of the two, I sat down and wrote a new set of bylaws. All of this information I'll put together in a package, and I'll email it to each of you, because at our next meeting, we need to move forward with that so that we are ready the following month with the next meeting of the Greenway Committee. So expect to get that in the mail. Please pay it some close attention. We will be one of the only committees in town. The Greenway Committee is a subcommittee of planning. The Greenway Committee will be one of the only committees in town with a set of bylaws and all of that. So we will be ready to go with everything in the future, and hopefully it will work out. So, and in any case, that's how we move forward. John and I both are on the Greenway Committee.
Okay, everyone. I thank you very much, and good luck with everything. Keep in touch with you, Harold.
Oh, I believe you. You're going to hear from me.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye now.
Okay,
So
the
if
next
you're not
thing then.
Could you mute yourself, please? There's a
The
lot of
next thing-
feedback. Hearing, please.
The next thing
Thank you.
The next thing on our agenda is request of the town council to allow the use of the fiscal budget 2021 already approved for Complete Streets Phase 2 from Barnum Avenue crossing to Paradise Green in the amount of $150,000. And that's to do pre-design work, correct, Susmitha?
Yes, Chairman Watson, I'm gonna, combine all 3 requests together and let you know a brief overview of why this has come before the Planning Commission, and then you can discuss and send a referral to the Town Council. Basically, these budget amounts that are written on this agenda have already been approved in our capital improvement program for the 5-year period. But for us, and also as part of the last year's annual action plan, the Planning and Zoning Office got approved for the Complete Streets Phase 2 design in the amount of $150,000, and also $75,000 for the Plan of Conservation and Development update. So we requested it in 2 budget years. The first budget year for Complete Streets is this year, which is $150K, and the second budget year is next fiscal year, which starts from July 2021 to July 2022, which will be another 100K towards this project. With respect to the POCD, we requested 75K for the current year budget, and then another 75K for the next year's fiscal year budget, which is from July 2021 to July 2022. So for us to actually use that money that we have already approved for this year, we have to let the council know that we're going to use this money. There's a stipulation in the charter that says any amount above $75,000 should actually be, informed to the town council that it's going to be expended, even though it's been approved. So I was trying to know how to get this to the town council as a referral, which committee I should go forward to. And looks like we do not have an officially established Complete Streets Committee. We have an unofficial committee, but we can either go before the Public Works Committee or the Planning Commission, which is actually guiding the Greenway project, which is also along the lines of Complete Streets. And the POCD comes from the Planning Commission anyway. So I was told that if the commission today decides to request the town council to approve us to use this money, then the town council would act perhaps accordingly and allow us to use the money that we are already appropriated. And also, the second part of this request is to let us retain the current consultant. When we are going through anything above $75,000, actually, I think it's about $10,000. We have to go through an RFQ process. In this case, we don't want to go through that whole process again. We already have a consultant that we're working with through a memorandum of agreement with MetroCog on phase 1. So we want to amend that MOA so that we can include phase 2 scope of work and request them to retain our current consultant to manage this project for the phase 2 piece as well. So that again gets referred to the town council. That's why you have all these 3 requests here.
Could I make a comment on the last one with BSR?
Yeah.
Personally, I have some problems sometimes with the way things work, but in this instance, BSR has already ironed out so many of the problems we have with state right-of-ways on the existing Main Street Greenway that they are the natural people to go on the next phase of the Greenway because it continues on Main Street. They've already solved a million problems that they're going in. They don't need to discuss with the DOT a million of these problems, nor do they need to discuss with MetroCog. It actually will save us money versus going through a whole RFP. So I fully endorse what we see here. I'm happy that they also came up with the 75,000 for the POCD. That goes back when Pat Petusky was chair a long time ago when we were asking for that money to update the POCD. So it takes a while to get this to go through their budget cycles. So we need to do everything we can to make sure that this money has magically appeared, and we need to do everything we can to support it because we can well spend it on, it's not, even this is not enough for what we need, but it's a very good beginning. So Smita, I endorse what you laid in front of us here. Anybody with comments on this? Yes, William.
Is it possible we can get a summary to see, from your experience, what's the top 5 or 6 or 10 things that we should use this money for, as opposed to someone newer like me not knowing what's the more important things to use it for? So if we can get a recommendation from maybe you, Harold, or Susmitha, we can see what's the best use of this money so we can consolidate and give it to the town council in a ready fashion.
I believe this money is intended for as described. Correct, Susmitha? It's the town has no discretion in it. They need to find the person who we would become the person who the town council would ask, are we doing this right? Or Susmitha is going to oversee the contracts.
William, we are currently implementing phase 1 of Complete Streets along Main Street from Harvey Place to Barnum Avenue intersection. We are almost at the end of the 60% design stage. So the way DOT reviews this, because it's a state right of way, it's through 30, 60, and 90% design reviews. So we are almost finishing up the 60% design stage, and the next stage would be the 90% design stage. And then hopefully by the end of this year, we'll have our designs ready to implement, construct the bikeways on Main Street. Now, the amount that we're requesting today, which is $150,000, will be used towards phase 2 design on the other side of Barnum Avenue to Paradise Green, to extend that and connect to Paradise Green and beyond. And because we are using the town's capital improvement program money, we have to inform the town council about this request. Regarding the plan of conservation and development, we would like to use that money to hire a consultant in phases. Even the Complete Streets project phase 2 will be done in phases, because we are getting 150,000 and we need to match it up with another 100,000. The phase 1 design had cost us around roughly 200K to 250K. We are hoping that it'll be the same amount because it's almost the same length on the other side. So we need 250K set aside for the design of phase 2. And once the designs are completed, we would request additional grant money or funding to implement those designs in the next year. For the plan of conservation and development, we would probably write a request RFQs from consultants. And again, this will be like matched up with the next year's $75,000. So the total amount that we have is 150K. And then we can start working on updating our town plan of conservation and development.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
And I know they are big amounts of money, but they really are seed money when you look at the whole project. We're talking multi-millions from Stratford Avenue up to Paradise. We're talking about a $5 million project probably once it's all done. So, but what these do is these tell the state and hopefully the federal government that we are serious about what we're doing, that we are putting our own skin into this. So that this really does help us when it comes to funding. Christina, you understand this really well, I think. This shows everybody, particularly in the state, the DOT and everybody else, that we are serious about making this happen. So I think all we need to do, so Smith, all we need to do is to give you a vote of confidence to move this forward. Mm-hmm. Do we need a vote on this?
Well, you may want to, if anybody has any objection to it.
Hey, look, town council came to planning. Yeah. They don't always do that. So we need to have a ringing endorsement. Thank you, thank you, thank you for bringing this to us. And we endorse it fully and do it again. Would anyone like to make a...
I'll make a motion, but you have to correct me if I'm saying this wrong. I'd like to make a motion to endorse the Planning and Zoning Department's request to use the money in the CIP for the Complete Streets work and for the POCD work. So help you God, amen. Okay.
So Smith, you're also going to... You
may want to say why. You may want to say
because this is awesome
in our current planning.
No. Why? Because we liked you, and no. Because why?
It is
no,
totally in keeping with our Complete Streets policy and our POCD.
Yes. What Harold said. Yes.
Aileen, do you have that?
Is that good enough?
I do. Thank you.
Second motion.
John?
Zone 5.
Say that again.
I second the motion. John
all right. All in favor, and Dan is back, so he gets to vote first.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, John. John.
Yes.
Aye. William.
William Boyd, aye.
Christina.
Aye.
And Harold, aye. It passes unanimously. And I believe that we have one more item under new business that breaks my heart, but you guys might have heard it. We are going to be losing my co-chair. Christina is abandoning her district.
Oh, shush.
She's moving to the north of Stratford. Still in Stratford, but she's moving to the north, which means she cannot keep her seat in Zone 1. So I won. We've been giving everybody applause. I want everybody to know that Christina's helped me so much in getting through this every month. So I truly appreciate all of the hard work. And
thanks, Harold.
I hope that she will come back at some time to take over the chair.
Thanks.
I have the information. I'm not going to read it. Essentially, planning regulations in the town charter say that if it's a Democrat, we have to replace that person with a Democrat until the next election. And then at that point, the next election. So in our next meeting, we will have a new person to sit in Christina's chair until November 4th, I think it is this year.
November
and
2nd.
we will announce that at the next meeting. Yes, ma'am. Did you raise your hand, Susmitha?
Yes. I just wanted to thank Christina after you finish.
Okay. I can never thank Christina enough.
Nah, it's all right. I'm uncomfortable. Well, no, sorry.
Thank you so much, Christina. It was lovely working with you and being on this commission. Although it was for a very short period, we really enjoyed having diverse perspectives and views, and that's what makes it very interesting, I think. Sometimes we wish all the members are present because, when a discussion is moving towards a certain direction, I feel like every member's voice matters in this because you all have some really great perspectives on any matter that comes before you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I hope to see you again on
You
planning
will.
commission.
You will. I actually I'm looking forward to sort of just observing the meetings as a town resident, and I like needling Harold a little bit because he's like, I'm abandoning my district. Yes, I am, but it's for the best reason of all. It was for love.
Well, it's a legal requirement, so you have no choice. But in any case.
Okay. But I'll be moving to the 7th Council District, and memory serves me right, I think there might be a vacancy coming up in that, so who knows?
And I think that with that, so Smith, my understanding is that I have the person that we would replace with, but we need to have them here, and so we really have to do this at the next meeting. We could do a special meeting just for that, but I don't know if that makes a difference. If we can hold this until next month, I think we should be okay. Correct?
Well, I think you should talk to Susan Pollock about who you're planning to appoint and go through the proper channels in the town.
We emailed today where everything is all set to do it. It's just a matter of when we decide to do it. Okay. It just means we'll have an open seat for these 3 weeks.
Okay.
Technically, it's not something to be voted on. It's really something that just gets done.
We have alternates.
Excuse me?
We have alternates.
No, it's not an alternate. It has to be a
Not
Democrat.
alternate. No.
Alternate can't sit on.
No. It's an elected position, so it has to be a Democrat replacement.
Temporarily.
So, John, my communicate, because I wanted to make sure that I wasn't leaving the commission high and dry. I had conversations with Susan Pollock about what the proper steps and sequence of events are. So you're right in that it's a temporary placement. But it has to be a person, the person who fills the seat has to be of the same political party as the person vacating it, and that person would serve until November 2nd, at which point that would be, the seat would actually be on the ballot for the November 2nd election. Whoever wins that has to will start serving immediately after. They'll be sworn in the day after election day and serve a 2-year term. They'll serve out the rest of my term. And let me go back. It has to be a Democrat who lives in the zone in
That's a Democrat from zone district 1 or 2. And this comes right out of the charter, which is different than the state requirements. But we've actually spoken to the lawyers about it, and everybody's in agreement, including Ms. Pollock. She is in total agreement with everything that's happening. So hopefully we'll make this as simple as possible, and we'll move forward.
Yeah, and she did say that a special meeting could be called to appoint my replacement and fill the vacancy if you didn't want to wait until the next meeting.
The only thing I would like to do is to have him go on to start getting all of the information. So I can send that to you, Mr. Smith, and you can just add him to your email list. Aileen, you can do the same, and then we'll vote him in at the next meeting. Well, it's not really voting, it's just appointing him.
Yeah, but I think there has to be.
Excuse me?
It's a man?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, I know. I wish, but
No, I didn't.
I recognize that women rule the world, but we tried, but I couldn't find a woman in that district who wanted to do it, who was a Democrat, who said they would commit to this ungodly amount of time that we have to put in. So I think you'll like the guy we've found.
Motion to adjourn?
I think we are at motion to adjourn. And listen, tonight I know was a lot. I appreciate it. We did it in an hour and a half, which is great. It's 8:07, so I think we did fairly well tonight. I hope everybody. Dan, thank you for coming on from Florida.
Yeah, I apologize for jumping on and off here, but I've had a couple things.
You proved that it can work. Our new Carrie, Deborah, Paul, thank you for staying on. Please
hope
come.
He didn't scare you off too much.
And we will
Harold,
have you.
Second.
Oh, second.
I second.
I know, but I was trying to pump it out for another 2 minutes, but that's okay. Yes, I do need a second.
Second.
John, second. Christina, thank you.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
It passes.
Great.
God bless everybody. Stay safe.
Good night. Be safe.
Night.